So now I've had coffee in me, some time to wake up, feeling good. So Tony invited me. I want to share with you a little bit about what I'm doing, what's going on downtown. It's been pretty rad. I have a nonprofit that's based out of downtown. But first, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself. My name's Matt. I was born and raised here in Boise. I went to Nampa Christian, came from a great family, raised in the church. I always knew that my parents loved me and were proud of me. And but I carried a secret that I carried for 20 years and never told anyone about it. But I'll get to that in a minute. So I grew up in a great family, happy childhood, graduated college in 2007, came back, felt like I had the world by the tail, was kind of cocky, got into real estate, dumped all my money into it in 2007, which I don't know if you guys heard about. Yeah, there was something that happened in the market, and I lost all my money, which was a lot to me, and with it went all my self-confidence. I had my heart broken by a girl who I was sure shouldn't have broken my heart, and I just hit a low point. I felt like I didn't have any value. I didn't know why I was here. I didn't know what to do with my life. I didn't have anything that I was really passionate about, and I just didn't know what value I really brought to the world. I remember I was not suicidal, but I remember driving down 84. I was headed toward the outlet mall, that direction. And I remember thinking, you know, if I ran off the road today and died, my family would be sad, yeah, my friends would be sad, but what difference would it really make to the world? What would the world really lose? So that was my lowest point, where I just really questioned what I brought to the world. And it was about that time that I finally made a connection between what I was going through then and what I went through as a kid when I was 6. Because I was sexually abused by a family friend when I was 6 years old. Someone we all trusted. I went to church with them. My dad flew fighters with his dad. My dad even kind of mentored him at this time when his family was having his parents were having some marital issues. So it created this dynamic that was really hard to understand. It was a very adult issue for a 6-year-old to figure out. And I carried that with me for the next 20 years because I thought I did something terrible. I didn't know what it was. I just knew it was bad. And I carried that secret with me for 20 years because I thought if my family, these great people, knew the truth about me, it would devastate my life. And that, what really got me, and I realized it a couple of years ago, is that I grew up in the church, and I knew that verse, "The truth will set you free." Right? We all knew. Well, it's the second half of the verse in 1 John. John, I should know this. I say this every time I tell it. I'm like, shoot, I should look up the verse. I think it's 1 John 8. But I remember growing up, knowing that verse, "The truth will set you free," which meant that until I tell the truth about myself, I will not be free. Because I grew up with panic attacks. I grew up with extreme anxiety over the fact that I was going to devastate my family and ruin my life if I shared my story. But it was at this time that I finally shared it, finally made the connection, and I finally took the step to go to see a counselor, sitting right there. I didn't know he was sweet, not to put you on the spot, but I went to him. It was a big step in my life, and he completely changed my life because he gave me a whole new perspective on the value that I have as a human being that no one here can take away from, and neither can I. And so I remember during that time driving down the street, driving a lot when I'm thinking, I guess, and I was turning to go downtown, and I realized that verse, "The truth will set you free," completely changed its meaning in my mind, but more importantly in my heart, where I realized that until then I was terrified of it, that until I told the truth, I would be in this prison. But now I finally realized the truth about myself, that I'm innately valuable, and that God loves me. And now, because of that, I'm entirely free. I'm completely free. I have nothing to be ashamed of, nothing to fear. I'm going to have a great life and not have to fear or be ashamed of anything. So that totally changed everything for me. Gave me a whole new perspective on everything from the moment I wake up in the morning of why I'm here on earth. I have nothing to be ashamed of anymore. I'm grateful for every day, and I know how valuable I am. And I started to realize how many people go through the same thing that I go through. It's insane. 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys are sexually abused before age 18. So 20% off the top. So you figure in this room right here, 1 out of 5 people on average have been through something very similar to what I went through as a kid. And most people never talk about it. And I totally get why. I kept it secret for 20 years. We all know why. But also people who have not been through it, it's blank faces when I talk about it because it's like, oh gosh, this is really uncomfortable. We all get uncomfortable with it. Understandably so. It's not exactly the conversation you bring up when you're hanging out with your buddies. I get that. But that is what feeds the problem, because people are afraid to talk about it, they're ashamed, they're just flat out uncomfortable. And I looked around, there are no organizations that existed that I really wanted to be a part of. I would leave websites and feel bummed out. I'd feel, ugh, because they were just heavy, they were dark, and they were all feeling the same way that you're feeling right now, going, oh gosh, why are we talking about this morning? And I thought, if my life was just changed as a result of finally learning the truth about myself, and I went through this, and I'm leaving this website feeling bummed out, how's everyone else going to feel? And how are we ever really going to change anything if that's our approach, and if we leave people feeling bummed out? So I decided to start an organization called Speak Your Silence, and we have a very simple mission. It's to conquer the stigma of child sexual abuse, because that is the root of the problem, in my opinion. Before you're going to really change people's lives who've been through this, before you're ever truly effectively going to prevent it from happening to your own kids, we have to make it okay for people to talk about. And turn it, not just okay, turn it into a cause. Take it from being an issue and turning it into a cause that people can be really excited to champion. That sounds like a tall order, and it is. But I'll give you our little promo video real quick, and then I'll get back to it. Oh, do I have sound on this? I forgot about sound.
Yeah, give me just a second before you start it.
All right.
I'll grab the other mic.
I'll keep you guys lingering in this. It gets better, I promise. It does.
Matt, and then don't forget your boundaries to stay on the camera, okay?
Oh yeah. Sorry. He's got his iPad right here, recording. So I'm probably standing with it cutting my face in half the entire time. Does that work?
Where's your speaker at?
I don't know. I think right. It must be right there. All right. We're gonna give this a shot, okay? We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm just so grateful for the way that my life has turned out. I came from a great family, and now I wake up each morning to a wife who loves me, and to a cat who either purrs or bites me, depending on his mood. Things weren't always so peaceful, though, because when I was just 6 years old, I was sexually abused by a trusted family friend. And then for almost 20 years, I kept it completely secret from everyone. I was just convinced that if my parents found out about it, they'd be devastated and would never look at me the same way again, and my life would be ruined. But finally, just a few years back, I told my parents about what happened to me as a kid. I then began to see a counselor, and much to my surprise, my life was completely changed. But what it really came down to was realizing just how valuable I am as a human being, and that I am truly worth standing up for. I gained this sense of value and freedom that I'd never felt in my entire life. And from that, Speak Your Silence was born. Our mission is to conquer the stigma of child sexual abuse. So this is where the stitch comes in. I love it. It's symbolic of voice frequency in its zigzag form. And when you're wearing it, you're literally wearing your voice and showing that you support others in sharing their stories. We'd be amazed if we knew how many of the people we see every single day are carrying a secret like the one I carried for so long. Now, there's something that every one of us can do to change that. By wearing the stitch, we show them that their lives matter and that we support them in sharing their story. And you can be part of it. by simply wearing the stitch. I don't know if you guys caught any of that. Did you? Did you hear it? Yes. Ish. So, that's it for thank you. Appreciate it. So, we, just in March, we launched what you just saw right there, the Stitch. And that's our social solution to the problem. We have a social mission, and we have a social solution. I'm wearing it today. It's called the Stitch, which you probably saw in the video. And it's an orange zigzag, so it's symbolic of your voice frequency. So when you wear it, it's like you're wearing your voice, showing the people in here that you care and that you support them in sharing their stories. If they have one, they're safe sharing it. So that's what we created with the intent to partner with brands and clothing and apparel brands to incorporate the Stitch into their clothing, to build a community of people who wear the Stitch. So we launched it in March with the Stitch Kit, which you probably saw there, the little jar. And then we just recreated it, which we pushed out last month in October, and I have them right here. We made it a lot smaller, lower price point. It was $20, now it's $5. Made thicker thread so that it really stands out on clothing, and made it just a fun experience. So we built a great product that we now have in stores. We have them in coffee shops and shops here in Boise. We have one in California, one going in South Carolina, and they're just kind of popping. But that's how we made it scalable out of the gate. So anyone, anywhere can have the Stitch, can wear it, and be part of our community. Because the idea is this. I went 20 years terrified to share my story, and I did not realize that anyone else shared a similar story to mine. So the idea is that if everyone here is wearing the Stitch, and there's someone here who's in the same shoes that I was for so long, how much safer is that person going to feel sharing their story? So much more. If everyone in our community is wearing this and we know what it means, that's going to transform so many lives. And it already has. We have a lot of people wearing the Stitch. Heard a lot of really awesome stories. Had a gal reach out just a couple weeks ago and tell us that she's wearing the Stitch, and she now walks with a sense of confidence that she's never had before, she didn't even know she could have. And she also shared her story with her mom, her good friend. It turned out they also were sexually abused when they were a kid. They'd never shared their story before. And that's the exponential impact of each voice that's bold enough to share. It changes people's lives. So these are examples of, this is my wife's, so I shouldn't have used it as an example, but I thought it was a cool picture. She put the Stitch on her Vans and posted it to social media. We're asking people to use hashtag the Stitch so that you can look and see all of them. But that's hers. Everyone has a different reason for wearing the Stitch. This guy has a different reason than my wife does, and he wears it on his shoes. A lot of people have worn the Stitch on their shoes. This is someone's kid. It says that Judah wears it so that no kid will ever have to deal with sexual abuse. So that Judah is going to grow up knowing what the Stitch means and knowing that he's safe, sharing a story if he has one, but it's also going to give his parents an opportunity to protect him and help educate him on how to avoid situations that could be harmful to him. This is someone who just put the Stitch on her cell phone case recently, and she quoted, "He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds," from Psalm. So everyone has a different reason for wearing it. This guy put, there are a lot of shoes, as you'll notice. I didn't mean to do that. But everyone has a different reason, and it's been a really powerful thing to see all these different stories and different reasons and perspectives come out of this. And people get really creative, too, when they put the Stitch on. And 100% of public donations and profits from the Stitch fund our counseling program. So I haven't even told you about that yet. This guy changed my life, and it gave me a whole new perspective on the value of counseling, which I'd never thought much of before. So we partnered with a company actually here in Boise that has a nationwide network of counselors. So we have a nationwide counseling program where people apply on our website. If they need assistance financially to get counseling, we can help with that. If they don't need assistance, we can help with that. We're a referral source, we're a grant source for that. We currently have a wait list, which we started at the end of July, of people waiting for counseling, but to date we've helped people in 20 states receive counseling from us. That map is from, I think, August. I think we've we're upwards of 75 people that we've helped get counseling through our program. So 100% of public donations and profits from the Stitch fund that program. It's been a really awesome thing to see grow. And then to offset our odd financial model, we also have to survive, of course. So we just formalized a private donor group called The Loudspeaker. Don't worry, I'm not here to pitch you anything, just informing you of how we work. We just put this out last week of, it's a membership-based group of people who invest specifically in our operations, our growth, creation of the Stitch, design, video, everything that really helps us fulfill our mission. Those people have committed to 2 years of $100+ to be members of this group, and we're looking for, well, we have availability of 30 founding members. There are 30 links in the Stitch, so we're looking for 30 founding members. We currently have 13, I believe, and we have private invitations for those as well. But in closing, here's one of the rad stories that we have. I think it was in May. I was eating breakfast one morning, and I looked at our Facebook page, and I saw that someone had posted a video, and I thought, great, what spam has someone posted to our Facebook today? I clicked on it, and I saw this guy I'd never heard of, never seen him before. I didn't recognize his voice, but he was using all the same verbiage, all our messaging that is on our website. It was right on point. And I thought, what is this? It was confusing. So I thought, we didn't create this. What is this? Well, to celebrate his birthday, this is Tim Bryant. He's actually from Eagle. He posted a video of him adding the Stitch to his Red Sox cap, which you can see right there, and sharing his story publicly for the first time in his life to celebrate his birthday. Because he realized that he gets a lot of Facebook traction on Facebook, traction on Facebook. He gets a lot of it on Facebook, to be redundant. He got a lot of traction that day, so he decided to put a video on there to share his story. And to date, I think he's gotten over 1,000 views on that video, but the impact is amazing, because a lot of people have shared their stories with him. A lot of people have shared their stories with us because of him. And he's a male, and you don't have a lot of males share their story. So it was a pretty powerful thing to see that, and he's become a big part of what we're doing. But that was pretty exciting to see this random video pop up and done really well. And then this story blew my mind. I was sitting at Flying Out drinking coffee one morning and working, and this is a picture that someone else had posted of our original kit. But this is what Tori posted, someone I'd never heard of until that day, posted as a comment. She said, "Your grant has been paying for my counseling for the past 3 months. I would be dead if I never found your website, and I wouldn't be celebrating my 21st birthday in 2 weeks. So thank you so much." I'd never heard of Tori, but apparently we saved her life through counseling. We have some dear friends who are donors, but they've become close friends of ours. My wife went to college with their son, Cody. He was sexually abused as a kid, had all kinds of issues that arose from that throughout his life that compounded, and 2 years ago he took his life. I never met Cody, but as a result of that, his parents discovered us. They become some of our biggest supporters, and we made Cody the very first founding member of the Loudspeaker, our private donor group. But I like to see that Cody's contribution has also saved someone else's life. It's a pretty darn powerful thing when one person's story is shared and can change the life of another. So that's my presentation. I hope you guys will be part of this in one way or another, in a lot of different ways. But even by simply wearing the Stitch or letting a loved one know that you care can transform their life. It did mine. And it can change the entire trajectory of your life and change a whole lot of other people's lives as well. So, thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Questions? Yeah.
So to wear the Stitch, you have to buy a piece of clothing with it on it?
No, we have the Stitch kit, so you can add the Stitch to your favorite
Oh, okay.
articles of
Right,
clothing. Yeah. And we're primarily focusing on daily use items, so you don't have to put it on every single item you have. I have it on my backpack. I have it on a pair of shoes. Makes it easy so I don't have to stitch a whole bunch of stuff. But yeah. So those are right there. Anything else? You got to see the whole thing. I thought you were gonna have to leave.
And those are available for purchase today, you said?
Yeah, they're $5.
Okay.
Yep, all profits go to our counseling program.
You can do that through your website too?
Yep, you can. Yeah. Online donations and purchases.
Good cards.
What was
Yeah,
that?
Did you pass any cards?
Oh, yeah, I
or brochures
didn't.
or
I didn't.
stuff
I didn't
around?
pass
Let's
the
start
cards.
that.
If you could pass that around and take however many you want.
Do you have vehicle stickers or Klingons or
We
anything for
don't.
vehicles? Or?
We don't. No, we've had people bring it up. We don't. Be happy to provide you with graphics if you want to do that. I don't think we will probably create anything like that, at least at this point. But let me know, yeah, if you're interested. I've had people ask about yard banners and whatnot, and so, yeah. Yeah.
I'm sure when you shared with your family, the anticipation of doing that was a lot harder than the
Oh,
actual doing it. But-
it was so scary, yeah.
But obviously it turned out okay.
Yeah, it did. I kind of abridge my my story when I tell it in front of people. I told them for the first time when I was 14, but I just gave them a snippet, and they really didn't know the depth of it. I finally told them the full story just a few years ago, and so, but there was a lot of buildup. I was having the worst panic attack of my life when that's what finally got me to share with them, because I thought I was gonna have a heart attack. It was just pretty awful, and then when I finally told my mom the connection I made and told her the depth of it, it was really freeing, actually, I think, because I was older, more mature, could wrap my mind around it better, but, yeah, and I was just embraced with love, because I was terrified of their response, and there's nothing but love, so.
So, Matt, are you out speaking to schools, churches?
Yeah.
Is this unique what you did today, or are you out quite a bit speaking?
I'm speaking here and there. I have so many things, my plate's so full that I'm figuring out what I can do and can't do. I've been speaking some. I spoke at a church in Texas on Sunday. Churches are a great group to speak to. Schools I haven't focused on yet just because messaging is a little different and the call to action is different, and we're building the base right now. But really, anytime we can get in front of people and share what we're doing. Every time, it's kind of amazing because I always hear stories afterwards, so I know that we're fulfilling our mission every time I'm in front of someone, so, anyway, yeah.
Your people ever confront the people that did this to them? I mean, is that part of your
Yeah.
healing part, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's different for everyone. I personally did, I felt like I needed to put my money where my mouth was a few years ago, and I filed a police report not knowing I could even do that 20 years later. And they had me to attempt a confrontation call, which ended up not going anywhere. I had to leave a voicemail, but that was the most anticipated voicemail I've ever left, I'll tell you that much. And nothing ever came of it, but that was healing for me in a sense, but really we don't focus a whole lot on, we focus on forgiveness, but I'm not focused a whole lot on the people who offend, because we don't give them very much control. No control. Yeah.
You know, Kay Buffington works with me in Hillboss. Their son is on the Boise Police Department, and he's part of a task force, so there's like 2 or 3 officers that are part-time paid, and it's for internet
Yeah.
pornography.
Crimes against children, yeah.
And they did a statistics that those who offended, so 100% of the people that look at child porn on the internet either have offended or are looking to offend.
Mm-hmm.
So those statistics are so staggering that if you could stop it there, I mean, that'd be the place to start. Maybe you should look into,
Yeah.
I don't know, somehow, team up with them.
Yeah, I know those guys. I've talked to them a few times. Yeah, I think anytime there's a carryover, yeah, but it is a huge.
Because I have kids. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and to me, why would I want to wait until after the fact?
Totally.
Stuff would be done.
Totally.
Then.
Yeah, and that's our idea with the Stitch. We had someone post a picture of the Stitch last week 2 weeks ago, she'd added it to her hat and had, her son came up to her and asked her what it was. And so she was able to have a conversation with him about it. It wasn't awkward, it was easy going, and it gave her that opportunity to talk to her kid. So even though it seems like we're focused a lot after, it's really a big preventative piece. But yeah, and do you remember the name of the guys? I've met one of them for coffee before, but it's been a long time. Yeah.
Well, Joe Rarick, a guy that used to be a member of this group, he's a volunteer, but he's on the board there.
Oh, okay.
And we can get you his information, you know, as
Cool.
far as, because they rely a lot on volunteerism too.
Yeah, sure.
People spend their time.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah, thanks, man.
I got a question, man.
Yeah, what's up?
And I'm so glad that you got over your fear and your, you know, the anger and all of that stuff through
Mhm.
counseling and things like that. When you presented this to the ones that you loved and the support that you got from them was just phenomenal,
Yeah.
I'm assuming. In the back of their mind, how are they thinking?
Yeah.
You know, how does the other side feel when they hear that?
Yeah. I know my dad wanted to kill them. I know there was that. I know my dad wanted to kill him. And you would think the knee jerk would be, well, I'm gonna do something about this. To be honest, my parents focused on me. They weren't focused so much on him, which I appreciate, because I was the one who I didn't need him to go beat up that guy.
Right.
My mom has always said that she's felt very blessed that she never carried guilt about it, because she was in the house a lot when it happened. I know a lot of parents carry guilt about it, and I understand why they would, even though they don't need to necessarily
Right,
carry
they
guilt.
don't know.
It wasn't my parents' fault.
Right.
You know, so I think they're just like how there are so many different variations of how someone who goes through it can respond. I think it's the same with parents, and I'm not a parent, but I know a lot of parents struggle with guilt over it. It's the reason a lot of people don't talk about it is because their parents don't want them to talk about it because they feel guilty about the fact that it happened, or they think it sheds a bad light on their family that it happened to their family. I mean, there's so many different reasons. It could be Uncle Bob, who everyone loves, and you think, well, we can't tell everyone that. Everyone loves Uncle Bob. We couldn't have done that. So there's so many different reasons. But yeah, I know that my parents have always felt very blessed that they didn't carry that guilt.
Yeah. Have they ever told you that you know, they're Christians, so
Mhm.
did they ever tell you that they have forgiven that from the individual, or, I mean,
Yeah,
I'm kind of trying
It's
to
an
get an
interesting
idea.
question. Yeah, I've never specifically asked them. I know that my mom confronted my offender's mom at Gap. She knew she would bump into it someday, or into her, and she did. And she knew it wasn't the mom's fault, but she let her know this is what happened, this is what your son did, this is the result of it, and now Matt's doing this because of it. And this is before I filed the police report. She said if we could go after him legally, we would. So Mama Bear came out there,
Yeah.
and I know Papa Bear would have as well. But as far as I mean, I know my parents' hearts, so I know that they're forgiving people anyway.
Yeah.
I've never specifically asked them. I know that Sweet had me go through an interesting process of forgiving. He had me write a letter to Mike, which I thought, oh, I don't want to do that. It was early on in counseling. He said, don't worry, you're not going to send it. You're just going to let it fly. And he said, are you angry? I said, no, never. I'd never been angry about it. And he said, well, you might be surprised. I said, man, I know myself pretty well. I won't be surprised, but whatever. I went down to Flying M that night, started typing on my laptop, and typed for over an hour until my hands cramped because I was so furious. I had no idea that it was below the surface. So mad. And I just let it fly. I went on a drive up to Table Rock, and I felt better than I ever felt. I felt lighter than air. And then the next week, he said, okay, well, I let him read it. Because he asked me if I wanted him to read it. I gave him permission to read it. And then he asked me to write it again, since the anger was diffused a little bit. But this time include something about forgiveness. And I said, I know I'm supposed to forgive, I know that. But the guy doesn't deserve it. I don't owe it to him. He doesn't deserve it. He hasn't asked forgiveness. He's never apologized, never acknowledged it. And he said, forgiveness has nothing to do with him. It doesn't let him off the hook. It doesn't do anything for him at all. It simply frees you of the claim that he has over you. And it releases him of your claim, saying, you know what, you're gonna pay for it. I'm disconnected from it, you have no power over me. However, you are still just as much in the wrong as you were before. So I included that, which was really hard. Even though I knew I wasn't gonna send it to him, I included that, and it was very specific about what I just now said. But that was a really liberating thing, to know that he doesn't have that power over me anymore, has no control. So, and I didn't even know that anger could be, I didn't know it was under the surface, I had no idea. So, that was a long answer, wasn't it?
No, that's good.
I'm curious, as more and more people, as you're meeting with people and they get involved through the stitch, and hopefully people ask questions and they hopefully refer people that need my wife
Yeah.
was abused seriously as a child. She did eventually go to counseling.
That's good.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that was able to do that.
Finding the right counselor is
Yeah.
obviously a huge issue.
Yeah.
That's part of Sherry's story,
Right.
but you mentioned you had a waiting list.
Mhm.
This is relatively young yet, am I correct?
Right, yeah.
So, as the word gets out, how do you,
Plan to fund it?
you have a network,
Yeah,
but you've already got a waiting list.
right.
How do you have a plan on how you increase
Yeah,
the
yeah,
numbers
we
of
do.
counselors?
Yeah, we do. We don't need more counselors. What we need is we're focused on the business side of things to build the Stitch into a brand that's going to be partnered with, that's going to be valued. The plan is to partner with brands, as I mentioned, clothing and apparel, to bring revenue to fund our counseling program. Right now, we just have our product, but the plan is to partner with other brands that have large networks already, which will bring in substantial funding for our counseling program. So right now, it's in infancy. It's kind of the chicken and egg thing, but we had to start. So we have that program. It's not our goal, or it's not our mission to provide counseling. It's a supportive program we offer, so we provide it as we can, but we've already provided to a heck of a lot of people too. And we've also changed our program. We used to offer it for free, but free is a dangerous word. So we now require some skin to be in the game. Not a lot necessarily, but we do require a copay, and we've kind of reined in what we offer in the counseling program just because we can't sustain to be a long-term provider for us.
So is it the responsibility of the party to find a counselor? that
Nope.
they,
No, when you apply on our website, we have someone who responds immediately. Wherever you are in the US, we will find you a counselor. If we have someone already in the network in your location, we'll refer you to them and then give you extra names if you don't like that first person. And if we don't have anyone in the network, we'll find someone in that area who